Hi and welcome back. I'm Tony. This is my workshop, and if you follow me you know that we're probably halfway through the build of this amazing venture kit that HPI Racing sent me. It's the 1:10 scale Venture SBK, the Toyota FJ crawler or cruiser. And when we left off last time, we had completed all the main parts that will eventually now form and come together to go onto the chassis. And that left us with bag F and bag G. So in today's session I'm going to go through bag F. I'm going to try and go through the whole of bag G. It may be a bit longer than normal this video, but I want to get through this. I'm really enjoying this build, but I'm really also super excited about my next Armatech project. So I want to get this built and operational and looking amazing, and then I'm going to get straight on to my wonderful new Armatech project, which I will tell you all about very soon. Anyway, let's get going. I'll reposition the camera and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm just going to open this bag F up, which looks like it's the main drive shafts. And looking forward to getting these out and getting these built. Let's have a look. Nothing left in that bag. Move the knife out of the way. Retract that blade. So let's have a look. So these are plastic. Surprised really, thought they might have been metal, but they're plastic. But this plastic is very strong. So we've got another little bag, and I'll just open that up, and I'll just tip. There's a pin, my little parts tray over, screw. Just pop those. I'll empty that bag, and then we just go through and sort these out into the various parts. 4 of those. Keep those separate. Some countersunk fixings. There's 4 of these pins. Keep those in there. Keep those in there. So that's pretty much it. So not a lot as part of bag F, but that's it. Unpacked. I'll pop those in there. Now let's just, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes looking at the instructions to understand how it all goes together, and then we'll crack on. Okay, so very straightforward process, but you need to make sure you put it in the right sequence. So we have this piece here, and there's a little shaft that goes through this hole here. You can see that, but it wants you to grease it because obviously it's 2 metal components together. So I'm just going to pop a bit of grease on that and then slide that through, and that should spread the grease nicely along its inner shaft. So that's that. Then what you have to make sure is that the tiny little hole that's in the shaft, when you put it into this piece here, is well, let's do this first. There's a pin here, and there's a hole in the top of this, well, in either side of it. So position that in there like that. You see that? Then we offer this in, making sure that the tiny little hole in the shaft is in the same alignment. And then we push this pin through, and that should come out the other end. Just line up that. So that's that there as a little assembly. Then that just simply pushes into this shaft, this side of the shaft, and then there's a screw which then goes up through the shaft, and they ask you to put some thread locker on this. Then just take your fixing, load it onto your tool, and then try and locate. I think I've got it. Well, that'll be good first time round. Feels right, I think. Just, that's it, nice and tight. Just lost the grip of it. And we'll go back in. That's it, nice and tight. So that's 1 of 2, and there's another 2. The process is exactly the same for all 4, so I'll just do these off camera, and then when I've got all these done, we'll come back and we'll bust open bag G and get cracking. So that's them all done. And and these just slide inside each other like that. I don't know if there's an orientation or whatever, but we don't worry too much about that. I'm just going to put these together, pop them out of the way while we get on to bag G. So let's get this open. Absolutely flying through this. I think that's a battery tray, and that would be the battery retainer, I guess. And then we've got all sorts of plastic parts. It'll all become evident very soon, I think. Got a bag of fixings, sort of tie bar there. It's another component. So I'm going to pop the bigger part into my parts tray. This will hopefully become evident when I start building it. There's 4 of those, 1 of those. So there's 4 of those. Another empty bag. So I'm going to move all these larger components out of the way for now. Smaller component. Let's open this. Put that there. Nice aluminium metal piece. And we've got our bag of fixings. I'm just going to pour in here for now and sort of go through and separate these out, all different sizes. So I'll do is I'll separate all these out, and when I'm ready we'll come back and we'll start building. But we've also got to get, this is the part of the chassis. I've already cut it, there we go. 2 sides of the chassis frame. So within very short order and time, this is all going to start coming together very quickly. So let me just sort out these fixings here, and then we'll get started. Okay, so we're just about ready to go. So this is the main frame, and it's orientated in the instructions in this manner, like that. So all I've done is I've just laid them flat here. So I've got the arch itself, the main arch, towards me, and then this side obviously towards the camera. And this thing here connects the chassis together. However, there are 4 parts to go on this ahead of you putting it onto this frame. But there are 3 identical, and 1, where is it, that one there, is slightly different. And it does highlight that in the instructions, so just be mindful of that. So let's get cracking. Before I do anything, I want to put the nuts, these little nuts, inside these parts. These are a little bit tricky, but it's got a slot in here perfectly sized for the nut, but they tend to be tight. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slide on the nut onto the shaft of one of my hex drivers, and then going to use that to position the nut into where I think it should be. That's pretty much where that is. Now you're not going to push that in. I've got a little pin hammer here. Make sure I've got the right orientation of that. Do that again. Again, when the camera's on, it all goes wonky. So let's have a look. So I'm just going to try and they are a snug fit. So we can get that in there with this. That's in there now. Same again for these 2. I did get a tool with my Baja, which is a really good nut pushing tool, can we call it, but it's just a bit too big to work on this. So I find something like that, it's got two different thicknesses on, is perfect for this. And then just holding this nice and firm on my bench. That's in. Last one. I've zoomed the camera out because you can see, hopefully see everything, but it may not be close enough to be able to see what I'm doing here. Hopefully you get the gist of it. Right, may not be the conventional way of doing this, but I'm far from conventional. Then what we need to remember is this piece here, which connects the two side frames of the chassis together. They have a diagram in the instructions which shows you this in plan, like so, and then you're going to position each one of these sits over. There's a sort of a molded part here, and this has got a recess in it. And then you can see that. They then sit over that. And so that one will go down there. That is the odd one. And this odd one here goes on this side here. Now, keeping this in the same orientation as the instructions, I'm happy with that. Before we do that, there's a piece here that's again quite clear on the instructions. This molded hole, if you like, is directioned up. You've got a molded pin on here which then locates it onto this side of the frame. So I'm just going to hold that and then come in from the back with the right fixing, which is the one I've fished out. That's why it's a good idea to separate all of these fixings like I have done here, and then we'll just fix that into that. I have no idea what this piece does, but again, like everything else, I'm sure it will become apparent. That's it, nice and tight. That's the first part done. Now we can start looking at positioning this, and there's receptacle holes in the chassis which line up with this. So let's do one side first. I'm going to move this out of the way. This side goes in here. Move this around. Make sure the holes are all lined up. Then we have these pieces here which are installed this side. And where's my holes? Oh, there we go. There we go. Like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to offer the fixing into this first, and these are these 18mm button fixings, and they go in this outer one here, by the looks of it. And then it goes on the inner hole. You've got two holes, it's going to go on the inner hole. So I'm just going to see if I can position. Let's pull that off, but anyway. Holding it all together. Hope you can see this. All a little bit fiddly. Want to get that in there first and get it sort of tight. Just making sure I've got the right orientation, and it is. So I've got the fixing through this hole. It seems right. There must be another fixing that goes into this, but not yet. That's nice and tight. So there's got to be a something else that goes on here, but for now we're just going to go step by step through the instructions. Put the next one of these on. Feeling its way through, and then once I know that it's in there, or feel happy that it's in there, we can then wind that in. Just picked up the nut. Now feels right. I can actually feel the end of the fixing coming through. So that's that. That's that side. Now we're going to do the opposing side. Same deal. Just try and line up the holes. Like that. It's all a bit fiddly. Anyway, it's awkward, especially when you're trying to do this. I'm trying to do this so I can do it, but also trying as much as I can to show you on the camera. Right, so I think that's about right. Same deal. Put that fixing through there first. Kind of feel its way through. Oh, that's it. I can feel he's picked the nut up on the other side now. Excellent. And then just wind that back round so it's aligned. Exactly the same process here onto the inside hole. Just using my fingers just to feel that through, and it feels right. All a little bit awkward, but that's it. I can feel it. It's all going at the right level of tension. So that's that bit done. So the chassis is starting to come together. It won't take long now before we really start seeing this sort of take shape. So let's just pause there and go on to the next stage once I've had a look at the instructions. Right, so I've got all the parts and the fixings I'm going to need to do the next step, and the next step is installing the main drive unit onto the chassis. And now this part here that we put on earlier, which I wasn't sure about at the time, becomes apparent, because there's a little receptacle in the bottom of this tray here, which this sits on. Perfect. I just have to pull the frame apart a little bit just to allow that to slot, and that's where that belongs. Right, so the next thing we need to do is there's a couple of nuts. I'll put one on this side already. There's another nut required on this side. So these should just slide into position. And these are the thinner nuts. You get a thicker one and a thinner one. The thinner one is used for this. The thicker one was to use for the build up of this part here. So that's that. Now we've got two of these, and they're different to there's four altogether, but there's one that's got a flat edge like this, and there's one that's got a curved edge like this. And this curved edge is designed to follow the curve of the main chassis. So with it turned upside down in the right orientation according to the instructions, let's just get the first one on. That's this side. It just sits onto the chassis like that, and it should line up with the holes. Let's have a look. Now the longer fixing looks like the longer one goes in this side. I'll pop that through firstly into that. Just going to use my fingers to sort of kind of guide it through. I'm going to fix this tight, I just want to get it on. See if I can get that nut picked up. Just by holding the nut I can feel that it's picked it up. Keeping it nice and loose, I've got to try and now get all these holes lined up. Might use this tool here just to... feels about right. And the shorter of the two fixings then get passed into this. And once this is in, I can go back and tighten up the longer fixing. That's nice and tight. And there is another, we'll put the other one of these on, but there's also a fixing that goes into the into this part here just to secure it in place into this piece here. So I might as well do that now. It's a little button fixing. No thread locker on any of this because you're going into plastic. So that's that. And then the only thing we need to do now is put this one on. Well, no, the curved one. Right, so same deal. Just need to line up the holes. Perfect. Make sure the nut is still on the back of that. Now the nut's come out. So now I need to go and find the nut. Where's that gone? Let me find that and I'll be straight back. Okay, nut recovered. Now we can get a fixing in. So again, the longer fixing goes through the back. Just using my fingers to try and locate everything together. Going to hold the nut on the back. And that's it. I can feel it all tightening up nicely together. And the last fixing. As I said, it doesn't take long and it all starts taking shape. So that brings us to the end of step 44. Yes, it's all starting to take shape. So let's just have a quick look at the next step and then I'll be back to camera. So step 45. Looks nice and easy. We're just going to pull these apart. And then one connects on this side. We just need to line up the holes so that when we go just try that side. That one works there. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, okay. They look like they're slightly different actually. They look the same, but the holes seem to line up differently. But anyway, let's do this. Get that one lined up on that. Then I'm going to load up one of these long grub screws. I'm going to put a bit of thread locker on the threaded part. And then trying to get this so it's lined in, or it's come out of alignment with a hole. There we go, it's through. Then wind that in. Just wipe that excess off. Make sure it's flush and in tight. That's nice and tight. Just wipe the excess thread locker off. Now this one, just try and line up the hole as best we can. Same deal. A little bit of thread locker. And see if we can get this that is a bit tight. Doesn't look like the holes are perfectly lined up on that, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Could be me just, I think it's just me. Excuse me while I just try and work this out. No, I'm going to have to look at that. For some reason that is not, it's not lining up perfectly. So let me go away, have a look at that, throw some expletives around, and then I'll be back. Actually no, I can just, I've just realised what's going on. No need for any expletives. Or is there? Perhaps. No, that should do it. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. Okay, that is actually sorted. It was just me. There's a little bit of play on the gear, and I just had to sort of line it up with a sharp tool. But anyway, that's done. Next step is to grease up this main rod here. Little dog bone. Fraction of the size it was on the Baja. Now I'm going to put a bit of grease on both ends of that. That is then going to go, let's put this into, that's then going to, whoops, grease all over my cables. That's then going to go into the main drive, like that. Then this slots into this beautifully. So we need to just make sure that we can get the, slot that in. That's all connected up. And I'm just going to hold that in place now and install the 4 retaining screws on the back. Again, no thread locker required for this. Keep that fairly loose, go diagonally opposite. Right. That's fine, it's biting now, I can feel it. Now I can tighten that one up. I always put these screws in diagonally opposite each other just to get them aligned, and then you can be pretty confident that the other holes are also lined up. But obviously don't over tighten things. Leave everything a little bit loose until you're ready to put all the fixings in. Then go around and then do your final sort of tightening. As I said before, the temptation is to get my little battery drill on this, but I think with something like this, I think I prefer to use my hands. So I don't like over tightening things. So I'll just finish off screwing this in, and then we'll be on to, what's the next step? Looks like the battery tray, but I was sent, HPI sent me another battery tray. I'm not sure which one to use, so I'll have a look at that. But this completes step 46. That's it, step 46 complete. Okay, so I've jumped ahead a little bit. This is the battery tray that comes with the kit, the actual kit. So I'm going to roll on with that. I realise why HPI have sent me an alternative battery tray. It's because sometimes these batteries come, instead of a square profile like that, they're sort of an oblong or a rounded profile. And with this kit here, so I'm just checking that goes in there beautifully. You get these curved profile retainers, and obviously they're going to fight against the square, just basic geometry. So what I've done is I've decided just to put one of these on, and just on the back, so when I have it on the front, it doesn't affect how I secure the battery in place like that. With this on the front, I think I'm going to have a real resistance, and I think with that clip on the back and this clipped in here, I don't think the battery's going to move at all, actually. So the assembly of this is very straightforward. Let's just move that out of the way. There's a long pin that goes in the back here to create the hinge, if you like, and that just goes through. It's the only pin that long in the kit. And then there's this clip here which is just retained by two little 8mm butt fixings here, and then the clip itself on the strap is just secured by a countersunk 8mm fixing. So I'm going to leave that as it is. This then gets secured into, or fixed into the back, and this is the orientation into the chassis, and that just slots in there like that. Now this is the bit that I'm a little bit concerned with. I don't think I've got it wrong, but you get these two pieces here, like the front. I'll just pop that out for a minute. Like the front, here and here, and as you can see, these holes are directly opposite each other. Oh, I hope you can see that. These holes here are directly opposite each other because they're handed. When I look at this and I put it, and this has the recess here, so it can only go that side and this side, you can see, hopefully you can see, that the holes are not aligned. So these are identical. I think they should be handed like the front ones. And I think I may have been sent them inadvertently. It doesn't matter which way around I try it, that it's the same result each time. So I'm going to speak to HPI about that, but I don't think it's going to stop us or prevent us carrying on. So I'll just take those to one side for a minute. I won't put that, well I will, yeah, I'm going to take the battery tray, put that in there, pop that away with its correct fixings. I'll contact HPI and I'll guarantee you that they will deal with that very, 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 very quickly. So we can put the, there's a couple of pieces that need to just close off the the chassis, if you like. There's one on the back, and I don't see any reason why I can't put this in now. That slides in there, and let me have a look. There's a couple of button fixings, which is these here. That goes on there. Just going to hold all that nice and tight. And what I want to do is just make sure that what I might do is, obviously when that's in, the chassis frame may not allow me to put the battery tray in, so just going to rethink this a minute. So let's just pop that in like that, so it's in there. Spin that round. Put the other fixing in the other side. These things happen, I guess, when you're dealing with multiple components. Sometimes the packing side of things goes a little bit awry, but I don't think it's going to stop me or prevent me moving forward, because it's only a matter of just finally fixing this, and I'm sure HPI will sort that out very quickly. Anyway, that's in there now, so I don't have to worry about forcing that in and bending the frame. And then there's another one that goes on the front, which is this end here, and it can only go one way. There's two holes in the frame here, and there's two holes in this piece here. This slides in like that, and then we have this metal piece here which sits on there, and we have got, making sure I've got the right size fixings. They've got, just double check, I've got just measuring on the printed template, which is always so useful. That always so useful. Just get one of those on for now. Just get it fairly loosely. The next one. And once we've done this, we can then, I think we can start moving on to installing the axles, which has been an exciting part of the job. Looking forward to seeing those on. Almost there. Nice and tight. Again, no thread locker required here. I might just get my battery drill out, a little one. I've got a little modelling battery drill, but it's just the repetitive jobs that like this it comes in useful for. But anyway, and then go back and tighten that up. That's it. That's that so far. Is there a screw that goes in there? There is a 10mm butt fixing that goes in there, which will be in here. As I said on the start of my intro, I am so excited about my next Armatech project. I can't tell you how excited I am, but I am. It took me a while to make my mind up. I had something in mind and I was going for it, but if you watch my factory visit, I didn't show much of this particular model I'm going to go for. But after I stopped filming, I had a great sort of bit of a tour around it, and it is an incredible model, and I am so excited that I'll be building it very soon. So I think that's as far as we can go there. That's step 49. Obviously we can't really secure this battery tray, but for all the reasons I've discussed, let's move on now and look at installing, looks like the front axle. Wow. Okay, so now we're going to start putting these tie rods onto the front axle. So I've orientated the front axle so that the steering linkage arm is on the bottom. That's how they illustrate it in the instructions. You're going to need one of these ball hex tools here, the ball on the end, because you're going to be going in at a bit of an angle because it's awkward. So first things first, let's just put a bit of thread locker on that, pass that through, and then these get secured this side. Into the metal part here. This is why you need one of these, and you can see that's got lots of articulation on that, so the screw is tight up against the little ball catch. Same again, just going to pop a little bit of thread locker on that. Now these are the longer tie rods. Very difficult to see in the print here, but it's the longer of them. So I'm just going to try and see if I can get that. I'll take that around. Well, it's only awkward because I think I'm making it look awkward. So apologies for that, but there you go. It's all we're in now. Just as tight as possible. Then we have the other part of the drive shaft, and that is secured same way we did before. So we've got two holes that we need to line up, and we have this threaded sort of long grub screw. Just load that on that, and then just find its hole and then wind it in. Make sure that's flush, and it is. So that's that part done. That was step 50. I think it's all a bit unwieldy, isn't it? Okay, on to step 51. Okay, step 51. Let's do the steering rods first. And the longer of the two, looks like that gets connected to this with a nut and a fixing. So I'm going to pop that up underneath that, pop that through, and it looks as if the nut goes this side. See if I can just get that on by hand, just to start it all off. And hex key one side and a little socket. This is a HPI tool. It just allows you to hold a nut. That's it, nice and tight. See the articulation in that. So that is that. So next one, the smaller one, turns on its side and goes into the back end of this piece of metal here. No mention of thread lock on here. No, okay. Inclined to think it needs it, but let's just see how we get on. Just wind So that's the 2 tie rods on there, and then the last one is this one here, which has got this sort of conical shaped end to it, and I think this sits over the top rather than trying to get it in underneath, but it's not that clear on the instructions. However, I think this has got a little ball joint in here, so I think this goes in here, and they do ask you to put some thread locker on this, so I'm going to pop that through. I'm going to come up underneath. No, over the top, sorry. Just going to wind that in with my hand, and then using the ball end hex tool, just tighten that up by hand, and I think that's what it's supposed to look like. Now, somehow, this gets connected to the chassis. Okay, there's no two ways about this. This is awkward. Let's do the first things first. So on your main kit, on your main body chassis, where you've got the other side of the other half of the drive shaft, there's the original fixing, and they do tell you to align these so they're in the same alignment. So I've got this paint sort of facing up or down, whichever way, not sideways. Then I do exactly the same thing with this. I just make sure that, I mean, this is just so awkward. So I want to make sure that this here is also facing up, and then that slides onto that. Now I'm going to do, what am I going to do first? I'm going to try and do this tie rod down here first, because I think if I don't do it now it's going to be awkward. So that slips into there, and there's a long fixing that goes through. Hopefully I can get that to pass through the clip on the side, then through the tie rod. Looks like I'm, wow, okay. Looks like it's going through the tie rod. Now I've just got to try and pick up the other side. Seems to be going forever. That's it, it's just got tight now. Wow, okay. So that's that. I hope I'm doing it the right way. Then, let's just see. These are supposed to go in here. Is awkward as well. Okay, let's get one in. So these are 15mm butt fixings. Go in the side of that. Wow, that is awkward. So I'll just prop that up with something just to help me. Right, come on. Ah, there you go, that's in. So I'll see if I can get it, wind it into the other side now. Awkward, really awkward, and I still don't fully understand how all this sort of keeps the axle in place, but it's just because I've never done one of these before. I mean, if you're an experienced builder of one of these, you probably look at it and go, it's so straightforward, but when you're sort of finding your way the way I am, and if you did buy one of these kits the way you may end up doing, this is kind of, it's just trying to work it all out, how it all works. And I guess we shouldn't really worry about it. We should just follow the instructions and not worry about it. Okay, so that's there. Now the next one, I'll try and get that in there. There we go. Get a fixing in the side of that. It's just really awkward, because as you push this into there, the whole thing, this end, wants to collapse. So let's just see if we can just... There we go. We're in. Oh, and I've lost my bit. Okay, never mind. We'll go with this tool. Found the bit. I guess this is what makes it do what, you know, makes it possible for it to do what it does. Articulates and moves and all the rest of it, because look at that. Look at the articulation in that. Okay, so that's that. Right, one of these now needs to connect to... Alright, so the shorter one connects to this piece here. And this connects to the steering servo. Right, okay, so that should have a little nut on it, I think. That's what I think anyway. Don't see that threading into that somehow. We'll try. So another 15mm button fixing. Let's move this around so you can see. So we're now going to go with the tie rod into the actual servo. Don't know whether that's threaded. See how we get on with that. Let's use the ball end. See if I can get this to find the hole. There you go. Put that in. Got a lot of thread on that. I'm surprised they asked you for it. Does just checking, it is a 15mm button fixing they're asking you to use there, but anyway. That's that. And then this one has to fix onto, to push that over a bit, I think, into this with another 15mm fixing. And that goes in you see that goes in. Let's just lift that up. Wow. Just might have to push the servo over a little bit. There we go. Going to use this ball end hex tool again. This is going in at an awkward angle. Whoever designs these things, the engineering is incredible. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right. So that's kind of all looks a bit awkward, doesn't it? Yeah, just looks a bit, don't know how that works. Is that supposed to come down there like that? Anyway, that is it. I'm not happy about that though. I can't Maybe that's the way it is, and maybe it sort of kind of sorts itself out. Or there's this rod. I don't think that rod goes that way. Unless this steering, maybe I have to, maybe I have to move this steering rod. Because it just seems to be putting that under a lot of pressure. I think I've got to move this round. Let's see if I can do this by hand. Yeah, that's it. That's it, that's it. Just twist that a little bit by hand, and that sorted it out. So that's it. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, that's it. It's all of it. Yeah, don't know how all that's supposed to work, but I guess once the shocks are on and all that, it'll all make a bit more sense. But okay, well that's the front axle done. Albeit a little bit, I tell you what, just awkward. That's better now. Go on and do the back one now. Stage 53. So I've got ahead of myself a little bit, and I've just installed these two tie rods here. It's very simple. These are the ones with the angles on, and there's a bolt that goes through and a nut that just holds those in place. So apologies for that. So I just I forgot to film that. Anyway, let's get this onto the main chassis. So as before, we rotate this around. I've already checked that the orientation of the grub screw is in the upright position. So I'm going to do exactly the same as we've done before. Just line those up. And that's that. And we have these two tie rods here on the bottom. They need to go in through the gap on here, and as before, this is going to be awkward. Try and push that into position. We have these longer fixings that go through the side of this, and hopefully pick up through the little ball joint in the tie rod and then into the opposing end here. Seems to be going all right. Getting nice and tight. It's going forever. Okay, so that's it there. That's that one. And get the bottom one in this side. It is just so awkward. Same again. Just line that up. Spin that around. Hopefully you can see that. So the tie rod's there. I'm going to wind this through, hopefully the little ball catch inside it. This needs to, got a bit of an alignment issue, I think. Let me have a look at that. Awkward. Okay, that's better. It's now going through. The next step for this, which I won't be doing that today, is installing the shocks. However, because I've got this incorrect part here, I wouldn't be able to install all 4 shocks. So we'll wait until the next session to do that, and then the next step after that, what I'm going to do anyway is get get the wheels on and test it. So that's that, so they're in. Now, these go in these two little slots here. Well, that's the idea anyway. That's one of them. It goes in. That ball catch just looks a little bit too. Oh, I'll tell you what. Let's get this one in first, I think. There we go. Very tight. Let's start up underneath. Let's try that again. There we go. Right. Get the fixing in now. Just trying to get that to go into the hole. There we go. Now it's going. Bring this as tight as I can. That's that. And finally, this one on this side. Again, just try and line that up so it finds the hole. There we go. Just carry on winding that in until you feel it getting tighter. And that brings us to the end of step 55. So just before I go, I wanted just to test where we are so far. So I'm going to get the battery in, secure that, connect up the battery. Just want to see how the drivetrain is working. Turn on the handset. That's slightly out of picture, sorry. Turn on the little speed control unit, and hopefully now, let's have a look. So, going to pull the trigger. Look at that. So the drivetrain's working beautifully. Let's have a look. Turn that over like that. All four wheels are driving. Reverse. Check the steering. Steering's working good. So I think I'm really happy with that. Both drivetrains are working. All four wheels are engaging. No horrible mechanical sounds. Everything sounds as it should. Very pleased. Spin that back round. Turn that off. Handset off. Just unplug that battery. Take the battery off. With these LiPo batteries, you'd never really charge them inside the car. So that is it. So I'll just do my final piece of camera, and that'll be the end of today's session. So that's it, another build session comes to an end. I know it was another lengthy one today, so apologies for that. But look at what we've achieved. It's moved on so much. It's almost there. I've got one more build session on this to get all the chassis complete and to get the SBK kit to a point where it would normally be finished, and then of course we're going to go on and install the wheels and the body and everything else. So looking forward to that. So we've really only got a few more sessions on this, but I'm really pleased. I was going to go on and do the shock absorbers today, but obviously I can't because I need to speak to HPI about this mistake, this problem here. See if I can get another one of these, a replacement. But I'm really pleased. It's all working as expected. And you know what? Now it's, I mean, even without the battery and everything else on it, it's got a nice bit of weight to it, so it feels quality. In my next session, it will be about, hopefully, if this part turns up, it will be about getting this complete. To a point ready to go ahead and install the body and start doing some of the finishing work on it. And then I'm going to let you know what my next Armatech project is going to be. So tune in please next week, because I will start giving you some hints, but I'm super excited. I need to make a lot of space in my workshop because this is a big model that I'm going to build and I'm super buzzy about it. Anyway, thank you if you've joined me today. I hope you have enjoyed this, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up. Please keep those comments coming, and if you're new to my channel, welcome and thank you for joining me. Please subscribe, because we're almost at the end of this build, but I'm about to start another epic Armatech build, which I will tell you all about very, very soon, in fact in the next video. So I'll sign off by saying I'm Tony, thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you in my next session.